Please take a moment to pray for whatever else you'd like to ask of our Heavenly Father.
I'm done.
Keep going.
I don't have anything else to pray for.
Think of something.
I've got my raise.
Here for the Lord Teach Us to Pray. In the last video I shared about how the Holy Spirit works, how he in Romans 8 verses 26 and 27 it says that the Holy Spirit helps us in our weakness in the topic of prayer, and that he intercedes for us in accordance with the will of God. And I feel like that was just like a small part of what I should have said, but to keep them short I cut in half. So we're on this topic, perhaps part 2 of like hallowed be God's name, hallowed, right? That set apart, holy, and it's not just about the name, that we know a bunch of names for God. So I actually want to read, first off I want to read in Matthew 6, prayer, the Lord's Prayer, or Our Father as it's also called. He says, this then is how you should pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. I shared a video before where it's of the King of Queens. Doug and Carrie are at church and they're praying, and Carrie nudges Doug and like, I don't know what to pray for, and he's like, just think of something. So she thinks of a job promotion that she wants, and she gets it. And then in another clip I showed that she was praying over finding shoes for sale, I think, and she gets it. But it's when we're praying using the Holy Spirit. But yeah, when we're praying in the Spirit, I believe it's this idea of your will, God's will be done. When Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane, it says that he was so distraught, so, I don't know if it says anxious, but he's struggling with what God has called him to do the following day when he dies on the cross. And and he prays, Father, if this cup can be taken from me, but not my will, but yours be done. So again, it's this idea of a full surrender to God's will, to God, what God would have us do, and we don't even have a clue what that will is. We go to church, we try to understand it. I was at church, we're doing this conference thing about the praying for healing, and the pastor pulled out all these verses where it strictly says that if you ask for anything in my name, Jesus Christ, it will be done for you, and all these different verses he is using. But there's also verses that say, you ask with selfish ambitions, you don't seek the will of God. Now it shouldn't stop us from going before God to ask these things, but it's this idea of your will be done. And I think that so much in churches, we've filled it up with our will. God, I need this job. I need this job. I need these shoes. We're always so filled with that. And that is
I need this car.
Fine. That God tells us, bring your petitions, your prayers and your petitions before the Lord. Of course. But I think we also need to understand what he's saying about when we hallow God's name and his will be done. So actually, that's kind of all I wanted to say, kind of finish off the last topic of the Holy Spirit, is that the Holy Spirit intercedes for us. And sometimes the answer to our prayers is no. And that sucks when we try to comprehend that. Why do little children die? They come into this world and there's a complication right there, and you're like, God, why this one? Or, cancer, or any number of things. And we have to come to this conclusion that it's not our will, but God's will be done. And that's perhaps the hardest thing to get our minds through on prayer. So I just want to throw that out there. Leave a comment below. Like, share, subscribe, get notifications. Join facebook.com/God the Master of Sin. Check the information below the YouTube video. And I'll talk to you guys later. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me, or anything to complaints. You have a different point of view. I'd love to talk about it. I'll talk to you guys later, alright? Bye now.
So what'd you pray for?
I can't tell you that it won't come true.
Okay, it's not like blowing out your birthday candles.